I realize as we get older, the filter does start to slip.
Sticking to the script is important.
Those are the approved words.
Legal sign off on this.
Keep legal's name out your mouth. You are now tuned in to the M-Dash Report, where media, marketing, and messaging meet the moment. He is not Arthur Baker. I am not Christopher Barker, but together, we are them. Ahoy there, CB.
Hey,
how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Glad to be back with you on everybody's favorite new podcast.
Yeah, seriously, I feel like I haven't seen you in like a month. Like, why is that? Is that some kind of time lapse, or am I just really getting long in the tooth? It feels like it's been like a forever.
Could be a little of both. We have exchanged plenty of texts and emails, but I don't think we've actually seen each other in a couple weeks now.
We've been present, but we haven't seen each other. And speaking of people we hadn't seen, of course, just as he is not Arthur Baker and I am not Christopher Barker, neither of us is this man, the chairman behind the boards, the doctor, as it were, Mr. Dan Roth. Dan, how are we feeling?
People, get ready. Let's go.
I love it. I love it. Going back to Curtis Mayfield. I love it.
That's right.
That is the way. Now, Dan, there was a rumor circulating that we got ourselves in a little hot water with the FTC. Is that true?
Kind of hot water with the FTC.
Yeah, I heard you were issued a red card by the FTC after one of our recent episodes. But I think CB made some phone calls. I cleared that up. But I mean, man, all that introness aside, we have the pleasure of being rejoined today by a fantastic guest, talented human being, and extended member of the family. The first time we had him on the M-Dash Report, it was so nice, we had to do it twice. He is a master architect of modern media, executive producer, director, showrunner, and founder of Popstar Media, and executive producer and director for Red Summer TV. He is Rahman Ali Bugg, or as we who don't work in the government.
Greetings.
Pop, welcome back to the program. Last time you hung out with us was during the NBA playoffs, right? So it's been a minute since I've seen you here. Since those playoffs concluded, could you remind my partners here what the outcome of those playoffs?
The primest of New York fashions, the New York Knickerbockers are, we like to say, world champions here, you know? So they happened. The bus driver, the big body, JB, not CB, but JB took us to church. He took us to the chip.
Amen. So I should greet you. How's it going, champ? Because that's how us New York fans greet each other now properly.
Man, that's not how anybody greeted me when I was in New York.
Smell it.
Man, so Pop, we're really happy to have you back on the M-Dash. What's been up in your world since we last hung out?
Since we last hung out, you know, I'm still developing, still trying to shake some trees, you know, to get some projects flowing. You know, that is the state of this industry. It's like constant, especially now, it's constant development, constant conversations, constant meetings in order to get something going. There's this documentary I'm working on about my family, so I've been trying to figure out. Personal work is pretty challenging. It's like, I got to look at myself. I got to talk to my people. How do I do this? Doing work for other people is I won't say it's easy, but I get it, you know, but then kind of turning the lens on yourself is pretty challenging.
In what way? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, because, and it's funny because a friend of mine, a colleague of mine had to remind me that this is what I do for a living. You know, because I was like, I don't know where to get started. I don't know what the story is. And I could hear myself as I say what my challenges are, talking to a person, not myself, what the answers are. You know what I mean? Like, here's how you can solve those challenges. But overcoming them, you know, is a thing. Like the documentary project that I'm working on, the mission is to find out more about our family history. Find out where we came from, you know, the generations back. I can't. Oh, wow. I'm unable to. I've never met my grandmother.
So you're doing a 23andMe to the beat, over the reel to reels.
Yeah.
Isn't that the
Nice.
show that Henry Louis Gates does right now on PBS, isn't
Right, right. And I want to, I won't say it's inspired by, it's inspired by me wanting to know more about my mom, and wanting to know more about my ancestry. Growing up, I had 10 siblings. So there were 11 of us that we could count. There's 11, right? My mom had a 12th child, but we were told that this child didn't make it. And you just move on with your life. You know what I mean? Like, of course, there's a moment where you're like, yo, okay, it didn't happen. I know my mom went to the hospital. I know something happened. And then she said, we don't have another sibling. Okay, that's not cool, but it happened. So we live our lives. Right. 2014 or it was, maybe it's 2010. Maybe it's 2010. My 12th brother found my mother because she put him up for adoption. That moment was very, challenging to deal with in and of itself.
I'm sure, yeah.
So my brother came back to us, he has his own mom, his own father, but we are blood. That's my blood. He looks like me. We look like each other, etc.
Wow.
And, my family is a big family. We've always had a big family. My mother's from 11. Her mother's from a big set. I know one of my grandmothers had 21 kids at one point. Like, in those little points, no one knows this. The only reason why I know that little bit of information because when I was in that program that I mentioned to you guys, the W.B. Du Bois program,
right.
When I was 14, there was a class where they had us do an autobiography. So I had to call, I'm a kid calling my relatives, asking them questions. And it gave me a lot of information that I've been living with, but no one in my family knows the answers to these questions. They don't know where my grandmother came from, where my father came from, where my grandfather came from. They don't know the generations past. That information is lost. There are a lot of Black families, a lot of African-American families who have lost history. Because of what's happened here. Slavery, because of all this stuff, records don't happen. A lot of things are word of mouth, so there's a lot of lost history, and I want to connect my family. I want my brother to have some information about this family that goes back generations. I want my brothers and sisters who I grew up with to have this information. I want my nieces and nephews who are going to move forward into the future that carry this name. I want them to understand. I want them to have some kind of legacy, some kind of attachment to the past to help fortify them when I, don't know where I come from. I'm kind of lost. Are my people this? Do we do this? Whatever.
Right.
I did an African ancestry thing. Maybe when one of my other brothers did it. My former youngest brother, before this new brother came in.
Wow.
He did an African ancestry, and we kind of wanted to figure things out from the beginning. So we're kind of trying to put the middle together. You know what I mean? And that is challenging because, older people don't like to share information. It's traumatizing. You know what I mean?
Sure. There are a lot of secrets in families of all races, creeds. It's hidden stuff. And some of it's real weird.
My mother carried that secret. She basically carried that secret for 35 years, and we would never have known had he not found her. So that project is challenging because of all the questions I know I have to ask of myself and ask of my family.
That is an ambitious and incredible project and endeavor. My God, go ahead, CB.
So it's a perfect segue to one of the questions we wanted to ask you, Pop, which is when you're telling the stories that matter and the people that they belong to, how do you decide? Yeah, this is a story worth telling. This is an element that is worth putting on film somewhere. This is one that's worth sharing with the rest of the world. And then, or you know what, that's cool, but it's only relevant to this part of the family. We don't need that. How do you decide which stories are worth telling?
It's a long thought. We compare and we contrast, but it's real personal. It's built on emotion, and culture. The decisions are personal. Whoever the creator or the lead creative is, whether it be the director or the producer, who's deciding the story. And then it's a matter of what kind of emotional resonance does a part of the story have? Does a certain character have? And what information does a moment or storyline have that allows those other things that you've kind of discarded or not chosen to include? It still gives you a little bit of insight on those things without going into a deep rabbit hole about certain things. But it all kind of starts with a personal, emotional choice, and then the second layer is culture. What are people responding to? What is my audience? What will my audience respond to? The audience who I envision. Like those are the two things that I weigh. How do I feel? Because that's a good meter, for anything. Mm-hmm. How do I feel? And then based on culture, how is the world responding? To certain energies, certain thoughts. Have they ever responded to it? Is it something that's in the zeitgeist? Am I introducing something new? And how do I have to kind of tailor this message based on what's going on? Am I doing too much? I.e., the zeitgeist is fatigued with this storyline, with this idea. Mm-hmm. It's cultural, but it's personal, and the personal really amounts to how you feel, what emotion comes out when you're thinking about a story, working through a story, making decisions about a story.
Well, it never goes exactly as you expect, too. Like when you go in, when I've done like documentary projects or any of those kind of like interview-based things, sometimes that interview about that thing is a dud, but the off-the-cuff remark or the sort of side story that comes out only on the shoot is like the gold, and it sends you off a completely different path. And so you wind up going in with a plan, right? And then your plan blows up, and you're there reviewing footage and transcripts, building a completely different story than you thought you would.
And I think that works across.
That sounds a lot like life.
Yeah.
Right. I think it works across genres. I work in unscripted. I do a lot of documentary stuff. There's always, I rely on discovery. I don't want to feel like my hypothesis is exact. I don't believe in that. So I need to, the way I design my work, is I come up with a hypothesis. My hypothesis is an outline. Like, here's how I think this will flow. Here's how I think this will work. Blah, 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 blah. But I'm excited by what I discover. Through an interview and on a shoot, shooting some B-roll, and somebody walks up to me and says some information. Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Let me follow that thread. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think even in scripted, there are always these moments, when someone goes off script or feels, embodies feeling, and they react or they perform or do something that makes the cut. Sticking to the script is important, especially more so in live than anything, because there's a lot of factors involved in live television. But
those are the approved words. Yeah. Legal signed off. Yeah.
Legal signed off on this. They didn't sign up, bleep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Keep legal's name out your mouth.
No, you gotta be friends with legal, Arthur. We talked about this. You gotta be friends with legal.
You gotta be friends. And you have to be friends with legal.
Yeah, and you gotta be friends with facilities. Those are the two groups. You gotta be their best friend.
Yeah.
And they need to know
truck.
that you mean them no harm. Yeah, Crafty is my favorite. Yeah.
So Pop, you've been very active on LinkedIn lately, and there's something I'm kind of feeling. There's got to be a lot going with this project you're working on, and just in general. I can almost feel like your mind moving. So there was one entry you had where you wrote something that stuck with me. You said, "Our experience is the commodity, our community is the asset." That's a hell of a line, man. So what brings those two things together for you? And I can feel you spinning in the lab. What's going on, man? You about to break through something for us.
and you'll hear more of it, because I'm like in the process of trying to, the LinkedIn post, especially for me, is an exercise of me finding my new voice. You know what I mean? You know, I've worked my entire career with a particular voice, you know, and that is head down. I'm gonna knock this out. You know, I'm jumping. You know, I don't necessarily need to put my stuff out, but I can make your stuff better. I'm different now. You know, I'm 52. You know, I like being in the house. Don't like always being outside.
We
like those
wine.
naps. We like those.
Oh, I like those. I like naps.
You know what I'm saying? Like we love naps nowadays. Like stuff is different. You know, and I'm in a different phase of my life, and in the way that the industry is changing and the world is changing, there's a set of new challenges that I had not imagined. You know, it's me exploring what experiences I had that created me and so many lessons and created things that are of value to others. You know, I'm learning my value now. Now I'm in a point of, you know, look at the creator economy. The creator economy is the lead horse, is the lead reindeer, you know, in our sleigh right now. So looking at that and taking cues from that, but also acknowledging, you know, that I have a lot of experience. You know, legal. We mentioned legal. I've encountered a lot of legal challenges, you know, when it comes to production. You know, that's the value. The way I can navigate those things, the way I can communicate, you know, with a legal department or with a studio. There's a different world out here. And for my generation and for people like me, who are kind of used to an old way of things, we kind of got to have each other. Singular ideas, non-diversity is destructive. You know what I'm saying? Because this is a time where we're all taking shorts, you know, and I got to even say, even the young creators are taking shorts because they don't know stuff, you know, and I think that they take advantage of because of their naivete. Yeah, that naivete is a big thing because it gives you this courage, you know, of like, yo, I can do this thing. Yeah. And then, you know, a person like me be like, hold up, I don't know. Yes, and you know what I mean?
It almost feels like a crime against them a little bit to call it naivete. You put any of us against a long enough timeline, it's just the lack of having been smacked in the head enough times as we have already.
Right.
So you rewind me to my early points. Yeah, I was just as... Yeah, we can do it. Yeah. We can take this hill. We can take over the world. And then some other things, time, inertia, and a couple of ass kickings. And you're like, okay, I see how things really are.
You need that journey.
So, Pop, as you go along this journey, do you find yourself becoming more optimistic about the future or just more honest about it?
I think it's honest. You know, I don't know. I'm too.
The realism is kicking my optimism ass, personally.
Yeah. I'm too experienced to be optimistic. You know what I mean? Because I know shoes drop, and I know the unpredictable is out there. And I think honesty is better than optimism. You know, it allows a sense of practicality. You know, and in that honesty, you can be optimistic, you know, but you also, you know, the real
hope for the best, but
smacks in your head will come. You know what I mean? And you got to learn how to deal with them because, you know, that honesty will get you. I mean, that optimism sometimes can be a trap if you're not dealing with things. You know what I mean? Right. If you're not confronting issues as they appear, you know what I mean? You're like, no, I'll get through that. No, it's all gonna work out. Hold on. So what are the challenges? How do I need to face them? How do I need to do them? Oh, I'm gonna go through some stuff to deal with this stuff. Okay, am I prepared to go for that? Go through that? Yes or no? I think that honesty coupled with optimism is a better way to move forward, especially for me. You know, but there's a place for optimism. I believe in optimism in the sense that it's got me this far. You know what I mean? Right. But honesty sustains me and makes sure I can keep things moving. And when things move left, I can say, oh, I can make that left, you know, or I can withstand, you know, going straight or making it right. Like I can do it based on You know what I mean? So I think the balance, you know, is the best way to kind of look at those two ideas.
Man, this is like therapy.
Seriously,
At this
you,
point.
you need the optimism to keep you in it, but you need your knowledge to keep you grounded when things hit you.
Yeah.
That thing you said about finding your voice, I feel like there is such a raft of all of us doing that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what we're doing right here on this podcast, me and these two gentlemen together, finding my new voice.
Yeah. I can pretend, to have insight on certain things in life, but if I don't, I've never sat on a grandfather's knee. Those are my experiences. Those are the things that I've been through. And when I see responses and people, the positive responses about working with me, about my talent, etc., those are kind of somewhat new ideas. I was so exhausted from all of that work that I had to refine and reconnect with those things that other people found special about me, that I had to be like, oh, I am creative. Get out of here. I'm just, a lot of our work is problem solving. I can problem solve. Like I mentioned last time, asking questions. How do you do that? How do you do that? How do you do that? Or why do you do that? Or when? Or problem solve. Okay, then the answer is this. You know what I mean? Versus feeling creative. Like coming up with a thought that just came from my spirit. Like this documentary project is something from my spirit. I don't know if people are gonna like it. I have no idea. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we're gonna get into crunch time. We're gonna talk about some things that came to your spirit.
Yeah.
CB, is it crunch time?
It's
Good
crunch
move,
time.
Arthur. Good job. Well done. All right, you want to kick us off on crunch time, Arthur?
So you were behind the camera for projects like MTV's All Eyes on Nas and Jay-Z, when hip hop was still finding its footing in mainstream media and TV. And then you went on to partner with Rock Nation on the serious investigative journalism with the Exposing Parchment documentary. So looking back at the early days, what did you see in hip hop culture back then that signaled the role it would play in rewriting the established playbook for media and business and social justice and so many other things?
It's probably the eighth wonder of the world, if you let me tell it. You know what I mean? Only because it's so connective and it allows people to be themselves. And it has always been growing in terms of its power and influence. I was born in the 70s. Hip hop started to come into fruition late 70s, early 80s, and it was magical the way it started to take over my community. And then by the time the 90s came, it taken over the nation for sure, and then it was eking out into the world, and it seemed to be no end for that. As it is right now, it seems unstoppable. And that voice wants to be heard. Like, people want to hear these voices. It's not like, there's a reason why. And I listen to a lot of hip hop. I don't like everything in hip hop, but I love the culture. People want to hear that energy. They want to feel that energy. They want to be a part of it. So when I see its impact, hip hop around the world, there are cultures who mimic, and there are cultures who reinvent what hip hop laid as a foundation, and then it's reborn again. Hip hop makes you courageous. It makes you like, I can do this. Like the whole braggadocio energy. When I'm spitting those words that aren't mine, I'm like, oh, I could take on the world. You know what I mean? And I think it.
You're about to give us a DMX bar.
Yeah, but I think it cultivates that energy within you.
You've produced 137 episodes of Live PD, which is one of cable's highest rated live series. Live TV is one of the last formats that commands undivided attention. What does live content teach us about holding an audience?
Live formats, I think live programming should feel like an adrenaline rush. It is for the people behind the scenes, for sure. It is complete 100% adrenaline when you're live.
Right.
You're just trying to figure things out, or make sure things go as planned. For live television, it's one of the most exacting forms of television that I know of producing. Like, you just have to be exact about everything. You know, the words got to fit. Legal's got to know 3 weeks, 5 weeks, 8 weeks beforehand what you're going to say, what you're going to do, who you're going to call, what's possible, all that. Everything's got to be fine-tuned. So when that moment happens, you're just moving. You're not even thinking.
Somebody's going to go off script. Something is going to happen that you weren't prepared for at some point. How do you draw that line between we've got to prepare for everything, we've got to line up the lawyers, every little detail's got to be planned, versus there's something that just happened or is happening right now that we didn't expect, but it's gold, we're going to keep it, or we're going to just run with this? Where do you draw that line?
I don't know if you can draw that line. I think you just got to have talented people on board. You can plan as much as possible, but if you don't have the people who have the know-how to pivot and see magic when they see it, you know, or capture it, you know, when it's being let out of its box, you know, and to just, I know we were going to do this, but we're staying right here. You know what I mean?
I'm going to apologize for this tomorrow. But
exactly.
If my key card still works, I'll apologize for this tomorrow.
So I don't know if it's a line. You know, you just have to, as you know, as lead strategists, as producers, as directors. You know, once you get in that chair and you get in that seat, you got to make sure you have the right people around you.
So, Pop, you're heavily invested in mentoring up and coming media creators. Mm-hmm. What's the most difficult thing to teach them?
Patience. I think that's it. You could temper your energy. I stop myself from saying slow down because I don't want them to slow down. You know what I mean? I want you to keep your energy, but understand the honesty in this place. You have to figure this thing out to get to that next step. Having a successful podcast, having a successful media program, or being a director out the gate, you know, or I'm like, you gotta kind of go through some stuff. You got to figure out some steps before then, you know, or like, I got an idea for a show. Who can I sell it to right now? Well, you got to develop that joint. You got to figure out how it's going to work out, you know, who you're going to sell it to, how much this thing is going to cost. Everybody's not going to figure out those answers for you. You know, you got to think about this. You got to be ready for that executive conversation because they're going to ask about money and time. They got priorities, and it's not you being cool. You know, your coolness is cool, but what numbers do you have? Like, what have you thought through this idea? So it's really asking them to be patient and thoughtful.
Good advice across the board.
So I believe that brings us to buzzer beaters. And as those who have joined us before know, Buzzer Beaters is a round robin of rapid fire questions and hot takes with no telling where the conversation will take us. So Buzzer Beaters is traditionally brought to you by whatever our esteemed guest wants it to be. Today, Pop, I want to expand that a little bit. I want to talk about people that you'd like to highlight. Mm-hmm. So you've worked with some brilliant creators, and many of these same folks have seen work dry up as networks downsize and media economic shift and AI takes work away that used to be done by talented human hands. So it's actually jarring for me to see like the number of open to work banners on the LinkedIn profiles of extremely talented people. So before we hit the final buzzer, we want to give you a shout out opportunity. Who out there right now have you worked with who deserves their flowers right now?
Kristen V. Carter deserves her flowers. She's a colleague of mine, writer, producer out in LA. Cliff Charles deserves his flowers. Cliff Charles is a DP who I met when I was a youngster, and Cliff Charles does everything from unscripted to scripted, and he's taught me a lot about DPing. Andre Cole, you know, one of our fellow
Andre, Master Cloud,
Mr. Cloud, Black Cloud. That's a head down dude. You know what I mean? He does what he needs to do. He's really creative. You know, he's a one man band most of the time. You know, and he has a wonderful, beautiful family. Sayer Champion, of course, is a good colleague, a fellow alumni. You know, come on, Jack Benson. Jack Benson's not in the business anymore, but he's my mentor. He's the guy that got me in this business. Sally Fertini, who was a former executive at MTV.
Well, we're not going to play you off, Pop, but we're going to give them their round of applause. All the folks.
So Red Summer TV and Popstar Media, like, when you go looking for those, like, where can people find them? I know that they have their sites, but where can they find specifically like your work?
Some of the stuff I'm most proud of with Summer is one, Exposing Parchment. Exposing Parchment is a project I did that I brought to Red Summer, but it was because I was doing a series of PSAs for Rock Nation, where we discovered Parchment story. I'm just really super proud about that series of projects that culminated into Exposing Parchment. We did some other stuff, some other hip hop related stuff that was really cool and fun. Popstars is just me, just doing cool stuff. Popstar does so many different things.
That's your inside voice. Just Pop just doing stuff that Pop finds interesting.
Stuff. You know what I mean? It's not, there's not stuff I could pencil because, like I said, I'll be hustling.
CB, kick us off with the buzzer beaters.
Kick it off. There we go. Ford recently just rehired human engineers, 350 of them, who'd been replaced with AI after realizing that AI couldn't quite match their skills or experience. Is this an aberration because automotive requires a unique set of skills? Or is it another signal that the pendulum is swinging away from AI replacing humans? Ford, Dan, you used to work there. You first, man.
Dan Ford.
You might have an opinion.
It's not an aberration. And I think automotive wants you to think that it's got some super special mix of skills. But this is just a boneheaded move that so many large businesses are making right now. It forgets the basics. It's an interlocked series of systems. So you need people who think that way and who know how to interact and how to collaborate. And from personal experience, Ford has a serious FOMO problem. They trend hop all the time. And so they also definitely want to replace people with AI, or they simply needed, some cover for house cleaning. It's companies just shooting themselves in the face over and over again. Eventually, at some point, they're going to realize that AI doesn't do what it says. The most elegant solution is just people. I mean, you're gonna melt the polar ice caps to do things that like a group of 10 people can do. Why? And I think the why is that elegant solution doesn't have a cool technical name. It doesn't move the NASDAQ, I guess, but you build businesses on conviction and long-term commitment, and that's what I saw lacking at Ford.
That take is hot. That is a hot take.
My last point, you build nothing when sprinting from quarter to quarter in a panic other than destruction. So there you go.
Well said.
Doctor.
The doctor has spoken.
Well said.
So I'm going to build on the professor's point a little bit, because being in business and being a professional is about more than delivering stuff. It's about working with others to accomplish something. And in the course of doing that, you learn valuable life skills like compromise, building relationships, taking input and feedback, and working with others. We literally used to be graded in elementary school. Works well with others. Now the goal seems to be this lonely, autonomous productivity.
Yeah.
And I say, in this case of Ford, score one for the carbon-based life forms, because there has absolutely been overreach and overestimation of this concept that AI can do everybody's job. Pop.
The pendulum is swinging. I don't know where it's going to land. Hopefully it just settles in the middle, because I think people need people. People want people. People desire people. I think things work better with people, even though people are imperfect.
CB, I want your take on this, because you were GM. So
I think the problem isn't necessarily AI being involved. I think you've got to understand that AI is a tool and not the solution. What Ford's mistake may have been is just not institutionalizing the knowledge that walked out the door when those people left. It's not that AI can't be used in production or in engineering and in development and so on. It's that it requires the human to be part of it. It's a force multiplier for institutional knowledge. It is not a replacement. And if you look at AI as a tool rather than the solution, you're going to be okay. I don't think the pendulum will ever swing away far enough from AI, because that goes out of the bag. But
Okay, so Pepsi recently found itself facing backlash after a now deleted post on Threads that read, "Pepsi Wild Cherry is what happens when regular cherry stops asking permission."
Oh my God.
Online commenters connected the stops asking permission line with the idea of consent and labeled Wild Cherry Pepsi rape soda. Is this backlash warranted, or is it connecting dots that weren't meant to be connected? We're going to start with Mr. Barger, CB.
This is going to be a fun one because you and I are on the opposite side of this argument. Arthur, we've had this conversation. I think it's incredibly tone deaf. You know, first of all, if you're in the age of the Epstein files and E. Jean Carroll and a president who blatantly brags about grabbing women by their privates, you've got to be able to draw the connection between consent and asking permission. I think even if that's not how it's meant, one of the first things that you get taught when you're going through DEI training is it doesn't matter how you meant it. It matters how people take it. And somebody inside Pepsi had to understand when saying these words in this way, somebody's going to take it wrong. What this actually teaches me about Pepsi is that it's a really hard culture within which to say no. You know, somebody somewhere had that thought and didn't bring it up and didn't raise it, and they allowed that whole plan to go out. I think Pepsi screwed up. I think it was incredibly tone deaf, and I think they could make it right by making a big donation to RAINN or another sexual abuse survivors charity of their choice. But I am shocked that something like that went through.
CB went deep. Pop, what are your thoughts?
I agree with CB. Like I think it was tone deaf. Like the world we live in now, the words you say, the words you use, people are a lot more scrutinizing. You know, with the word choices and permission, and like you said, the age of Epstein. It was completely tone deaf, you know, and they deserve all the backlash, you know, they receive. I feel like it was something, you know, someone put into ChatGPT. It's like, what's a good thing that people are saying right now? You know what I mean? And then somebody locked it.
Not the ChatGPT.
You know what I mean? And then they went with it versus just, are there some women in the room? What would you know, like, I think it's about those people in the room. And if those people
They need to have a show called Live ChatGPT.
Yeah.
you got a problem. So
damn.
I know I'm waiting for the Arthur bomb, but so I do think it was tone deaf, but I think actually the more offensive part was this is just shitty copy. Like I'm more offended by the continual contrived effort to look so badass and individual by rule breaking and not asking permission. Like that's some tired shit, man. Like how deeply does your choice of sugar water define you? Like I hope nobody is using
Can we call it
soda.
extreme instead? Extreme.
I just you really should not be using soda as a totem of iconoclasm. Like, come on, man. This is just awful. It's probably the first crap that ChatGPT shit out, and it's not even a memorable phrase. So without the controversy, this would have nobody would have paid any attention. And so Arthur, take us out.
Here we go.
Right. So to me, by definition, things that are wild don't conform or play by rules. I think there are too many instances in human society where not asking permission is actually a positive thing. Don't ask permission to express yourself. Don't ask permission to take time for yourself. Don't ask permission to express yourself. The whole Apple Think Different campaign was about people who don't ask for permission. Shit, we didn't ask for permission to start a podcast. When did not asking permission become a sexually loaded concept? If the slogan was "No is the new yes," yeah, I'd be with you 100%, backlash and all. But otherwise, I think we live in a time where people are entirely too active about looking for things to be offended by. I yield my time to the senator from Vermont.
No, but there's too many things to be offended by.
I'm gonna let that stand.
In today's day and age, I think that people are going through such an onslaught of being offended on a daily basis. They need a reprieve from it.
All right, social media influencer Drewski just became the youngest host in BET Awards history. Is this a victory for creative culture or a business decision? Are legacy media companies finally embracing digital creators because they're the new entertainment establishment, or because they deliver audiences, buzz, and cultural credibility at a fraction of the cost of traditional celebrities? Pop, let's go to you.
Hey, I think it's both. You know, I think Drewski's a unique human being. You know, he's not like every other creator. He's very thoughtful. He's very meticulous. You know, he studies his craft. You know, I can't say that's the same for every creator that's out there. Drewski is a unique individual, a unique creator. So I think in terms of showing an example of creators who have mastered their craft, I think it shows that you can go to the heights that you desire to, but it also is a completely business decision. I need more viewers. Drewski's got the most viewers, and despite controversy that he puts out there, people always tune into Drewski. So just like any other host, it's a business move. But at the same time, it says, oh, we can do that now? Oh, let me get myself ready to be in that kind of space, when every creator on social media is not ready to be in that kind of space. So I think
I'm sure there's an entire segment of our listening audience out there who don't even know what a Drewski is.
Come on,
but I have young kids.
The contact lenses.
I have young kids, so I've been initiated. I think money goes where the money is. So these influencers and YouTubers and Twitchers, they've become self-propelled, self-made media and money machines, and I think they should be commended for that. But in my mind, it was only a matter of time before the traditional media establishment identified them and co-opted them. I hope they enjoyed their run of creative freedom and artistic integrity while it lasted, because once the money has its eyes on you, you got a new master to serve.
It's so funny. Like, I think we all feel like it's both, right? But I think the script is flipped. BET needs Drewski more than Drewski needs BET.
100%.
Yeah.
Drewski did the hard part. Drewski built the audience. He's already got a platform. So it's like pre-built audience, meet platform. The early stage stuff didn't have to happen from BET's side. So it's all win for them. And yeah, the creator issue where you either serve the masters or you walk away, we'll see who does that. We'll see who has integrity. But also they can't take all the platforms away from us anymore. So
that a suggestion?
It might not be bad.
Is that a suggestion that following producers' rules lacks integrity?
I think some of it depends on what you're asked to do.
That's a deep question, Barter. That's a deep question, because we got to eat. BET desperately needed Drewski more than he needed them. They've been falling whatsoever. But I think it also depends upon, the power of that platform. You know what I mean? BET is not Apple TV. But he was able to do things that producers and executives had not traditionally not been able to get away with. Talking about the Jacksons, talking about Jay-Z, like no one, there's a company rule that you can't talk about those people. You know what I mean? And so it's an example of them needing him more than him needing them.
ProPublica recently reported that in researching a feature regarding a refinery startup that Donald Trump Jr. invested in — we are not a political program, nor do we affirm or deny any political candidates — they were nearly fooled by an AI-generated website that appeared to promote a successful fuel storage business that doesn't exist. Yet the false website information still managed to find its way into Google AI search results as if it were established fact. All politics aside, what should we make of AI search results featuring facts created by AI-generated websites? Beyond the obvious caution for journalists to be more skeptical of AI search results, are there implications for business that we should be talking about? And I think this one's funny because I found a website that said we're actually the number 3 rated podcast in America, behind Joe Rogan and Diary of a CEO with Steve Bartlett.
Fucking A, man,
Is that true? That's not true?
You knew it the whole time, man. You knew it.
Dan, your take while you have the talking stick.
Yeah, sorry. I was. You got to watch out for this stuff. I was all excited to submit a writing pitch to a site that looked like they paid well, looked like they wanted what I do, but you really have to be a skeptic, and you've got to look into as a writer, like, who am I pitching? You got to find their back catalog of work. None of it existed. So it was a huge red flag. You got to be really wary of everything, especially AI search results. Search is broken. And who asked for this? Like a machine that's a human conversation simulacrum. Like, it's slow, input sucks, all of the work is on you to prompt it properly. And when people say, like, it's convincing, no, you're stupid. You're being an idiot.
Yeah.
You want it to be right. You want it to be Star Trek. You want to trust it because, I don't know, you like to... whatever. I do not like talking to machines, whether it's a chatbot or like voice. Like, no. So that's
CB,
my take.
CB, your take, sir.
See, taking the politics completely out of it, for me, the story isn't just that AI got fooled. In the search, but how cheap fooling it is.
Yeah.
You know, the service that produced that website was $2.99 a month. Somebody can go out and create a fake website, either purporting to represent your brand or purporting to oppose your brand, and putting whatever kind of facts, alternative facts that it wants to put into the conversation for $2.99 a month. That's got to scare the hell out of somebody who's responsible for our brand's reputation. So I think that's just an awareness thing from a business standpoint. You've got to be that much more active in your search, that much more active in monitoring what's being said about your brand on the internet, because it can look legit. It can look really legit and for real cheap and real fast. And that scares me as a guy who's spent his career chasing corporate reputation.
And as a consumer, it scares me. Pop, your take.
Yeah, I think it's just an example of the loss of the continued loss of critical thinking skills, and I think across the board, it doesn't speak to only media and any specific industry. It speaks to our world right now, that we're happy with the first answer. We did a search and we're satisfied with that search. I think, in my learning, in my growth, as a producer, I'm taking all of the responses into account. Let me check this platform. Let me check that platform. Let me talk to someone. Let me take all those responses into account to get to the truth. We've been recently trained to just believe the first answer.
I'd say it goes deeper than that, because all of the answers are now digitized somewhere, so the facts can be changed. If they said, John Lennon said something on an album, they could go back and all you have is digital copies, which Sony recently said all of their video game content will be digital and there will be no physical discs. They can change things on you, up to and including your holy texts.
Yeah.
In this particular case, in addition to the positives of what AI can do for us and what we can do with it, it's also quantum multiplied our ability to make stuff up, including stuff that isn't true. And one recurring human design flaw is that we make stuff up for fun, for profit, for no reason at all, just because that's us. So if you look at the documented use of popular technology, including you look at what's the most popular and frequent Google searches and the websites that are most popular, our species get up to some nefarious, weird stuff. And we're just getting warmed up with this AI. So business better buckle up.
All right, so ServiceNow recently cut hundreds of jobs and cited its own AI products as the reason, saying that the roles that helps humans sell and explain the software are now being done by the software itself. A company that sells AI automation to Fortune 500 clients just used that same automation to eliminate its own consulting and enablement staff. Is this a really effective way of proving the value prop of ServiceNow's products, or have we entered into this sort of Kafka-esque world where humans are creating the very machines that are going to replace them? Arthur.
So as I've said before, being in business is about more than delivering stuff. But there's this growing narrative about how you can run a business by yourself, and projects that you used to need teams of talented people to do, you could just do them by yourself and not have to work with anyone else. My question is, why is this a goal? And whose goal is it? Here's my theory. The people pushing AI the hardest are people who aren't good with people. They weren't popular in school. They wish they could live in a world where things could just happen without them having to deal with or talk to another person, because people are weird. People are mean. People can reject you and your ideas. Kafka is light work, my friend. We are all living in and actively building some socially awkward incel's dream. That's what I see.
That's what I wrote.
And seen.
I like that. That's a bar.
Bro.
Put some beats behind it.
Yeah.
That is going to be on the little placard there that Canva makes up for us here. Dan, what do you got?
It's another one of those who asked for this kind of things. The business of ServiceNow is so efficiently run with people if you don't try to squeeze them for every last little bit. It really just comes out pay your executives less, pay your people more, and have a long game. And all of this stuff we worry about kind of goes away to a degree, because you build a sustainable business with
That's not going to happen, though. That hasn't happened in 200 years of business history. That hasn't happened. So how do we confront it or deal with it, given that the ideal's not happening?
ServiceNow is going to learn we need people, and then when they go to hire people, the people can go, fuck you. And ServiceNow then fails because they were stupid.
So somebody needs to drop 900 number under what this man just.
I mean, look, I can wallow with Kafka and
finding our new voices, right, Pop? Finding our new voices, baby.
We're all on that journey. We're all on that journey. Hey, I think I'm not a fan of kind of the extreme push to AI's everything. You know, especially a workforce. It doesn't make sense. Like, you know, like I said before, I think people want people. People need people, you know, and I think companies become less value. I think it's an aberration to be able to do a movie by yourself. You know, to be able to run a company by yourself. Those are the aberrations. Young kids don't like AI.
Right.
They're the next generation. They're going to grow that energy. You know what I mean? So I think that pendulum's going to swing, and I think that is self-defeating, you know, to think of that as a model for companies, for producing, all that, because everybody can't do it. It's not possible.
Right. All right, Arthur, take us to the next one, man.
So the U.S. men's soccer team found itself not only on the losing end of their World Cup match against Belgium, but on the firing line of a controversy generated by the White House, calling FIFA head Gianni Infantino to press for a review of a red card suspension of U.S. striker Folarin Balogun. Forgive me, soccer fans.
Folarin Balogun.
Folarin Balogun.
That guy.
So the controversy seemingly managed to turn most of the rest of the world against the U.S. team. Have we reached a point in our society where even sport cannot help but be politicized and polarized? CB, what you got?
Well, first, and I know we try to be apolitical here, but I do find it interesting that the same people that thought that Colin Kaepernick and LeBron James should stick to sports have no problem with the president of the United States trying to get a red card overturned, or with baseball players writing Bible verses on their ball caps. You know, if sticks to sports is your theory, then that's applicable across the board. But yeah, unfortunately, I think we have reached the point where literally everything is polarized and political, even sports, even when it doesn't mean to be. There's no safe space when each side of the spectrum is actively looking to take offense. Like Pop, you said earlier, there's people out there just looking to be offended by stuff. So there's less room for I'm not political anymore. So I think as somebody who would be, counseling an athlete, you're going to have to, my counsel would be, at some point you're going to be expected to take a side. You're going to need to do that, and then just accept that that's going to tick off a certain segment of your potential audience that aren't going to buy your jerseys, that aren't going to buy the shoes with your name on them, that aren't going to pay money to buy tickets to watch you play. That's just part of it's part of being famous and part of being an athlete now, unfortunately.
Pop, what you got?
I think sports is political. You know, I think we've made it political since the Olympics were involved. You know what I mean? And since they were born, I think, you know, we look at the 60s and we look at the gentlemen who raised their fists, you know, at the 68 Olympics. Yeah. I think sports has always had the ability to not only be politicized, but to impact politics. Politicians or people who are politically minded push sports into a sphere in politics that it doesn't and shouldn't ever belong. But sports, like art, is an expression, and you allow the artists to express themselves however they express themselves, and then they become the artists who we believe in. People make it political because sports means something. It has these grand ideals. So I think it's always been political and politicized, but I just think the wrong side is using it as a political tool.
Dan, what you got for us, buddy?
What was the thing, the ABC Wild World of Sports, right? Like the thrill of victory, the agony of defeat.
They come out the ski jump banging.
Like you got that started to get eroded with the even the replay, right? Like so. There's always been controversy within sports, but now you've got like outside actors who probably have money on the game or on whatever outcome getting in there and swinging their weight around. And I mean, FIFA has a history of being unclean, shall we say. So
I was wondering how you were going to word that. Well played.
This is just like a layer cake of nonsense. It should not have happened. It was just deserves to watch them just get completely routed in the next game. And it's what what that sort of thumb on the scale deserved.
So I kind of miss the days when people were apathetic about politics and government, and people could just talk about other topics without arguing whether their favorite actor is part of the conservative or liberal establishment, or their favorite ice cream shop supports a left or right leaning agenda, or if the band behind that catchy tune on the radio is in favor of Pakistan's record on human rights. Like, I'm tired of that. Families could actually include people who voted for different parties and they could still speak civilly to each other. Those days were more fun. I'm not fond of this red map, blue map version of the world. We're not a political program here, and we're committed to being one of the last safe bastions, if there is, where you don't have to, although sometimes some things peek through. Anyhow, CB?
Stephen A. Smith is catching heat after suggesting that the Lakers can't win with 3 white stars leading the team. Whether you agree with him or not, it raises a bigger question.
Sorry. I don't.
Keep going, keep going, CB. We gotta get through this.
That's right. Whether you agree with him or not, it raises a bigger question. When your personal brand is built on provocative takes, where's that line between creating conversation and becoming the controversy? Oh, I don't even know where to start with this one. Who wants to raise their hand? Pop, I think you were excited about this one.
Yeah, I like this one. Only because that man is the bane of my existence. I think we've just we're now in a world where people want to be the center of controversy. I think Stephen A. Smith is one of those people. You know, he can have whatever opinion he wants, but he's looking to be controversial. And we're in a time where people are strictly looking to be controversial and not add a value to their opinion. He racialized this thing when, dude, it's black and white people in the NBA, period. You know, and if you're in the NBA, you're talented. So you can't.
One of the most talented players in the world, full stop.
Look at Jokic. Look at all these, be quiet, man. Let the boys just play, and let's just see what happens.
Come on, man.
I can't stand that, man. Sorry,
that segment.
Sorry, guys.
Man.
I've been waiting to say that on camera. Somebody.
Let's go to Dan.
Just the prophet Charles Barkley said, I don't create controversies.
The Honorable Charles Barkley teaches.
They're there long before I open my mouth. I just bring them to your attention. And the other thing from the book of Barkley was, I'm not a role model. Just because I dunk a basketball doesn't mean I should raise your kids.
If I had a mic, I'd drop it. Hey, take that big mic and then drop it for a second.
Whatever happened to the internal dialogue? The inside voice? I'm thinking some outlandish thing, but maybe I shouldn't say that out loud. Especially if I know that if somebody said the inverse of what I'm about to say, I would be beside myself with outrage and offendedness of my own. I realize as we get older, the filter does start to slip. So you don't know what Uncle Joe or Uncle Jay gonna say at the family barbecue. But dude, come on. Come on. What are we even doing here?
But Dan, I do hear your point. I do hear your point about bringing the controversy, because it is something that is a conversation happening in the zeitgeist with or without Stephen A. Smith, the man who I do not like.
Yeah. That guy's just an asshole.
Yeah. So it's something that people were thinking about and talking about online, but you're the professional. You're we're the commenters on the social media platform. All our stuff is nonsense. You know what I mean? But Stephen A. Smith, he is about controversy and he's about the nonsense just to have it. So that's what I'm saying with him. But I do get that it's something that's being talked about. It's something that it's something that people just want to talk about
in the barbershop. In the backyard.
It's unfortunate because it's almost like to react against it because it's something that we don't like. Then it becomes a version of shut up and play ball. But the other part of it is maybe you should check yourself about why you have that opinion, because that seems like a very
Dan, I'm going to challenge that a little bit. So to that point, it's not about whether I agree or disagree. you can tell when someone has a legitimate something, whether you agree with it or not. So it's like, okay, this is not a real, like, really, dude? Like, what?
Right.
It's not.
This is a race to the bottom to see whether the media or the people can get stupider. The media is just going down. They like, listen, no, we can be dumber than y'all for real. Watch.
It's a weird, like, you don't need to categorize like that. And that's not productive.
So rewind this to the early days of organized basketball. They could have said that about a team of black people. Fast forward to when they were integrated, and it's like, all right,
agreed.
This is now going the other way. You could say that about, pick the. So it's like, okay, really, we've been there. We swung back this way. Here we are now. It's just athletes doing their thing. But
we should be able to all just appreciate good gameplay. Athletes should be able to appreciate other athletes, right? Game recognizes game. We don't need to stir up this stuff about identity. And I think that's the problem, is it gets to identity versus just facility with the game.
So that does it for this edition of the M-Dash Report. On behalf of Christopher Barker, Dan Roth, and the entire crew, I'm Arthur Baker, wishing you farewell, fond regards, and good fortune for the future. Until next time, keep dashing.